Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Your Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister Mori Abdul Kabir Sahab, Honorable Ministers of Cabinet, respected foreign guests, distinguished colleague, respected teachers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yavari tol pajah sardur sharif huye. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin nabiyil ummi wa ala alihi wa sallam. At first, let me congratulate the leadership of University of Nangarhar for taking this important step for arranging this significant conference on climate change. As we all know that climate change is a serious issue and a significant problem that poses a greater risk on the world and the communities around the globe. The climate change doesn't respect the borders, and mostly we see that industrialized nations have higher contribution on the effect of climate change, but other countries that comparatively very less contribution pay the cost of the climate change disasters. The data shows rising carbon dioxide level since the start of the industrialized revolution due to the consumption of the coal, fossil oil and gas. In addition, the deforestation for human settlement due to population growth and disappearance of the green plants from ocean due to pollution of the seas have contributed significantly to the rise in the level of carbon dioxide. The 2012 data highlights that the top carbon dioxide emitters are China, United States, and India. They are then followed by Russia, Japan, and Germany. However, some of the countries have very flexible regulatory mechanism in place to control the emission of greenhouse gases. You may recall the Kyoto Protocol of 1997 that was urging the mandatory reduction in greenhouse gas emission to save the planet from the devastating effect of climate change. But the two major countries with the highest carbon dioxide emission, like China and the United States of America, didn't show interest to bind by the Kyoto Protocol. The Copenhagen Conference in 2009 and the Paris Conference of 2015 on a climate change also didn't show any promising results, as the developed nation and the developing countries had serious difference in ideas to control the emission of green gases. The climate change has threatening effects, drastic consequence. The global temperature has raised and it has caused a change in participations. In some areas where they were witnessing rain, now they face dryness, and some other areas where here was dryness, they face witnesses. We have seen floods, hurricanes, drought and other disasters that have taken lives of thousands of the peoples around the world. The WHO estimates that climate change is already causing tens of thousands of additional deaths per year globally due to shifting pattern of infectious diseases. Afghanistan is also a country that has almost zero contribution to climate change and global warming but unfortunately see the consequence caused by the climate change. The drought is southern and western region of Afghanistan, lower level of underground water and flood is some provinces that affected the hundreds of families are some of the instances that Afghanistan is currently going through. In my recent visit to the southern region of Afghanistan, I visit Helmand province. Helmand is one of the provinces that some of its districts are hardly affected by the drought. I learned that in some districts hundreds of houses with all of their assets and equipments are left behind, and the residents of those villages have moved from their districts because in their areas the level of underground water has gone low. Their gardens and agricultural fields are dried. Moreover, even they cannot fulfill their need of drinking water. I think it is a sad tragedy. People who lived there for hundreds of years are now urged to leave due to the effects of climate change that they are not responsible for. Migrating from one place to another place is not an easy job. These people will face different health, psychosocial, and economical issues until they settle in their new places. Climate change also poses other health risks, such as increasing the incidence of the diarrhea and some tropical diseases like malaria and dengue. Currently, the threat of malaria shows increase in the region compared to past 2 years. It is believed that it could be due to the climate change. Studies also suggest that the climate change will encourage the past to reproduce and become some more active, which will also affect the agriculture in the countries, and the result is decreased harvest and food around the world. We all know that drought and famine walks hand in hand, and climate change will be a good contributor to both drought and a famine. Honorable participants, now the question, what need to be done? As I mentioned earlier, that some countries that have higher contribution to the greenhouse gases that cause the climate change, they should be held responsible. They should compensate for the consequence they have caused by their action. They should compensate to alleviate the suffering of the victims affected by the consequence of the climate change. The countries should strictly apply the rules and regulation that shows down the effect of the climate change. It is their moral responsibility to financially support the developing nations that are the victim of climate change and paying the price for actions of the developed countries that lead to the climate change. The recent suffering of the people of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and some of other countries due to the heavy rains and floods are a good examples that has not only taken the lives of the thousands of the people, but also disrupted the agriculture and caused other economic suffering to the public. I believe that the United Nations has a greater responsibilities to bring the nations together and encourage political will of the major contributor of carbon dioxide emitter countries to reduce the greenhouse gases emission and save the planet from the adverse effect of the climate change. I believe that unless those countries do not feel and realize their moral responsibilities, it will be hard to control the consequence of the climate change that threatens the lives and the health of the millions of the people around the globe. Communities should take action for their survival and mitigation of the climate change effect. Afghanistan being disproportionately impact must actively participate in a global climate discussions. Notably, the conference of the parties COP meeting. This platform provides an opportunity to highlighting the country's unique vulnerabilities, seek assistance, and emphasize the imperative of inclusive global efforts. In a conclusion, Afghanistan epitomized the broader global changes of reconciling responsibilities and vulnerabilities in the face of the climate change. The academic rigor underlying these discourses seeks to stimulate further research, inform policy making, and robust international collaboration. As we navigate this critical intersection, let us collectively strive for a healthier, more equitable world. At last, I would like to appreciate the effort of the Nangarhar University who have arranged this conference, and I believe that such conferences have significant values, and other provinces should also arrange such conferences for raising the awareness of the communities on a climate change. Thank you for your attention, and I anticipated engaging in a insightful discussions on those complex and a vital issue. Thank you once again.